So this is a prophecy. This is a prophecy to the nation Zambia. See, I have big eyes. I see beyond the physical. If there are prophets in the nation, I'm one of them. People that can see, not guessers, not people that will just guess. Major prophets are people like us. This is not pride. I know myself. Let's be serious. Do you know yourself, you? What is your name? If we call you by your name, you will know that we are talking to you. Prophets, they know who they are. The only war which we will have in Zambia is Zambians fighting Zambians, not Zambians fighting Congo. No, not Zambians fight Zambia fighting with Zimbabwe. No war. The only war which we will have in Zambia is Zambians fighting Zambians. Zambians fighting Zambians. Zambians fighting Zambians. Zambians fighting Zambians.
Now still in Africa, but finally on World Now, Zambia's former president Edgar Lungu, who died last week, left instructions that his successor Hakainde Hichilema should not be allowed anywhere near his body. This was revealed by a family spokesman. This is the latest development in the bitter feud over funeral plans for the late president following his death in South Africa at the age of 68. The government had planned to fly his body back home on Wednesday, but failed to do so because of a dispute with Lungu's family and his political party, the Patriotic Front, over mourning and funeral arrangements. The two leaders were long-standing political rivals, with Hichilema defeating Lungu in the 2021 election after failing in 5 previous attempts. In an address to Zambians, the president did not refer directly to the reported wishes of his predecessor, but reiterated a call for peace, a call for love, and a call for unity in this time of collective grief.
Next, let's take a look at Zambia. The southern African country is mourning, but it is also embroiled in a political row at a time of immense grief. And at the center of this drama is a former head of state who is no more alive. I'm talking about the late Edgar Lungu. Now, the former president of Zambia passed last Thursday. He was an influential leader, had a terrific reach among the masses, even though he was barred from running in the upcoming elections. Edgar Lungu led the country from 2015 to 2021, and his death really hit the nation close to home. There's a state funeral in place, radio stations switched to gospel music in his remembrance, the flags come down. So there's genuine sadness in the air. At times like these, you'd expect a country to stand united. But instead of that, the former president's funeral plans have turned into a political tug-of-war. And who's involved in this power struggle? His family, the current state government, and Edgar Lungu's political party, which is called the Patriotic Front, or the PF. And the result of this episode? Confusion, chaos, and a country unsure of how to say goodbye to someone who led it for 7 years. So what should have been a solemn national moment is now marred by political infighting. Let me explain what's happening here. On one side is the ruling government. On the other side, Lungu's family and his party, the PF. All of them have conflicting ideas on how to honor him. First, there's a row with the state funeral. The current administration says that the venue will be a government-owned lodge in Lusaka. That's the capital of Zambia. But Lungu's party immediately pushed back. They have told mourners to gather at the party headquarters. So Zambians had to choose between 2 venues. Then came the body. Now, the government wanted to bring it back from South Africa last week. That's where Lungu had passed. It's believed he died of some undisclosed illness. But the family and the PF wanted to do that themselves. So the state wanted to give military honors. The family said not without them. They wanted to handle and organize the return. And then came the condolence book. Now, this is basically a place where people write honorary messages to the dead, a way for citizens to pay respect. The Zambian government set up an official one at the lodge, but the PF rejected that. Lungu's party created one of their own and said that mourners should sign their book instead. That was made at the party headquarters. So now there are two books at two different locations. It didn't just stop at that. The Zambian government declared a 7-day mourning starting last Saturday, but the PF had announced their own days earlier. So even the timeline for grieving has a point of contention. In the backdrop of all of this, there runs a deep political as well as a personal rivalry. There is a long, bitter history between Edgar Lungu and his successor, who happens to be the current president, Hakainde Hichilema. Now, when Lungu was president, he jailed Hichilema for 100 days on treason charges. Now, 4 years later, losing power to him, Lungu's family said that the current government played a role in his death. They claim that he was blocked from leaving Zambia for medical treatment, and if he'd been allowed earlier, he might have survived. The government denies that flatly. They say that he was never stopped from going abroad. Instead, they accused Lungu's party, the PF, of using his death for political gain. That was all about Zambia's current scenario. A private memorial was held in South Africa on Tuesday. The former First Lady and Lungu's daughter attended, but the body wasn't flown home, and negotiations are still ongoing. But for now, the nation waits.
The only war which we have in Zambia is Zambians fighting Zambians, not Zambians fighting Congo. No, not Zambians fight Zambia fighting with Zimbabwe. No war. The only war which we have in Zambia is Zambians fighting Zambians. Zambians fighting Zambians. Zambians fighting Zambians. Zambians fighting Zambians.
Mazina yangu leo ni Nebo Betha Lungu. Ni Nebo nkashia kwa Edgar Chagwa Lungu. Chagwa Lungu emwaicho wandi uko nka ine panuma. Nomba ndefu ayokulanda kuchalo cha Zambia uko ati mumfwe ifyondelanda munivele maningi vamene vunufunola vila. Nifuna kulabira kuti uyu mubiri wa Chagwa wamene utudoselana pali zino ntawi taoneka monga seolomba tawika mumanja ya mwine Mulungu niya kuti azive viti kuti tichite pali zino ntawi tifuna tinkhale pasi tikambilane monga banja tizive viti kuti tichite osati seo te banja tiwodoselana na boma tifuna kuti tinkhale pamozi tike maganizo pamozi lomba tikunga kumva kuti mailo statement ya chinja lomba seo te babanja titolepo chinji so pola bila vonse hivyo. That's why amakebi Zulu nievunu pasa mpamvu neo ne sister wao kuti atilavirire ku ziko la Zambia viti kuti vikonkepo vitufuna kuti tichite. Nineo nuva pa mpamvu amakebi ozitolera lini mpamvu mubeka bene
Fellow countrymen and women, brothers, sisters, and everyone who's listening in or indeed watching us. This is a statement for and on behalf of the Lungu family relating to the burial and funeral of the late President Edgar Chagwa Lungu. As the public may be aware, we had engaged government on the arrangements relating to the burial of the late 6th Republican President of the Republic of Zambia, President Edgar Chagwa Lungu. Following a joint briefing between family and government, we came to an agreed position that the mortal remains of President Edgar Chagwa Lungu would be repatriated today, the 18th of June, 2025. It was agreed, among other things, that the body would at all times lay in state at the official residence of the deceased in Chifwema. It was further agreed that parties would jointly make decisions upon consultation. However, the family has noted with regret that there have been attempts to subvert the spirit of the agreement that the family and the government got into by engagement into the following on the part of the government. On the 16th of June 2025, a statement to the public was released by Road Development Agency stating that they would be carrying out repair works of the road from Crossroads 7 kilometers onwards. As the public may know, this is a road that leads to Chifwema, the official residence of the former president. It is also part of the program and agreement that at all times the body would be moving from Chifwema to Mulungushi Conference Center for purposes of body viewing, the state funeral, as well as the burial service on the 23rd. However, the notice from RDA put it across that the road would be under maintenance. When this was brought to our attention, we advised the Secretary to the Cabinet that we weren't comfortable with these works as they tended to go against the agreement that we had. When this was brought to their attention, the said works were suspended until further notice. However, on the 17th of June 2025, the Secretary to the Cabinet issued a statement restricting people from receiving or at least witnessing the arrival of the remains of the former president. This notice was issued without consultation with the family, and further, no opportunity whatsoever was given to the family to indicate whom they wished to invite, if at all the attendance was by invitation, nor were they given any chance to say anything as regards the said invitation. When the Secretary to the Cabinet was engaged, he only stated that there were security concerns, which concerns still have not been stated to the family. Following that statement, the next thing was that there was a program for the arrival of the body at Kenneth Kaunda International Airport. This program suggested that upon arrival at Kenneth Kaunda International Airport, the body would be taken to a designated place for a church service, and thereafter it would be received by President Hakainde Hichilema at the airport. This position was not an agreed position with the family, and the program was made without consultation with the family. When this matter was made known to the Secretary to the Cabinet, he stated that the same was released in error and was a draft, and as such should not have been released. Before long, yet another statement, which they termed a combined program, was released, which essentially contained the same, but further went to suggest that on Thursday, the 19th of June 2025, President Hakainde Hichilema would lead the body viewing at Mulungushi International Conference Center. This program as well was arrived at without consultation with the family. For this reason and many more, the family finds it very difficult to believe that the government will stick to their end of the agreement, and have resolved, sadly so, that the mortal remains of President Edgar Chagwa Lungu will not return home today. It is our hope that someday his remains will be repatriated back home and buried. I thank you.
Now, the news tonight, the feud between the family of former President Edgar Lungu and the Zambian government has now delayed the repatriation of his body. Lungu died earlier this month while receiving medical treatment in South Africa. Well, his body was supposed to leave South Africa for burial in Zambia earlier today. The former Zambian president was expected to be buried next Monday in the capital, Lusaka. A period of mourning has been extended until next week. Let's get you more on this story, then bring in SABC News international editor Sophie Mukwena, who's with us here at our Auckland Park headquarters in Johannesburg. Sophie, let's start first with why the return of Lungu's body today was in fact delayed.
Well, I think there's still some tension between government and the family, and of course I think the party that Lungu belongs to. And you know that yesterday there was an announcement by the Department of International Relations that at 8 o'clock there will be a ceremony at Lanseria Airport, and we must be there. We arrived there as early as 6 in the morning. As you know, that we have to ensure that we are positioned at the right place, but also issues of security clearance and to ensure that we are able to capture the arrival of the dignitaries. We arrived there early and we waited until towards lunchtime. Then we saw the officials of the Defense Force who were there, who were supposed to conduct ceremonies as part of the send-off, rolling back the red carpet, and we were confused as to what's happening. You could see that there was tension now, and nobody wanted to explain what was happening, but we then saw on social media that the family has issued a statement saying that they don't agree with the government of Zambia in terms of the process of repatriation